Thank you, Ali. So good morning, my name's Emma Bird and I'm a research manager at the School of Clinical Dentistry here at the university, and I'm also the Clinical Research Coordinator for Sheffield Teaching Hospitals Oral and Dental Directorate. So I'd like to thank Chris, Sharon and Ali for inviting me to chair this morning's session, and I'm honoured to be sharing the stage with two incredible women who I've met through preparing this session today, who are going to share their stories and experiences of rebuilding self-confidence after cancer. So my speakers today are Kimberly and Emily, and I met them through some social media, and we were thinking about how we can bring a bit of a different angle to the sort of cancer patient's journey. And so Kimberly is a local person from Wakefield, has experienced a number of head and neck cancers and is 27 years old, so she's bringing an experience from a young person's sort of experience. And Emily is is award-winning international educator in micropigmentation, so tattooing, and she's going to talk to us about how she's helped people and the services that she can give. So I'd like to invite them to the stage. Kimberly and I are going to do a bit of a Q&A rather than Kimberly standing up and talking sort of through slides. So I'd definitely ask you to ask questions at the end about her experiences as a young person and how you can help young people with their experiences. So we're going to sit on the chairs with microphones. I hope it's going to work. So hello, is that working? Is that working? Yeah. Yeah. So we're quite nervous. Well, I'm really nervous. So if I'm shaking, it's nerves, not coldness. But so morning, Kimberly. We'd like to start off by you telling us a little bit more about yourself and your journey to where you are today, and the cancers you've had and the treatments you've experienced.
Mm-hmm. So my name's Kimberly. I'm 27 years old and I'm from Wakefield. Throughout my life, I've had 4 different cancer diagnoses. The first one when I was only 13 months old, and that was a rare childhood cancer on my bladder. That was rhabdomyosarcoma, and that was actually treated right opposite Sheffield Children's. I had multiple surgeries, chemotherapy and radiotherapy, and these all left me with late effects which include ovarian, heart and kidney failure. So that was just the first one when I was only just over 1 year old, and that took a couple of years to get into the remission after that. Fast forward to 2016, when I was 18, I was diagnosed with squamous cell carcinoma, which was at the back of my tongue. And for that, I had the back third of my tongue removed, and it was further along the line, so I had to have a neck dissection as well because it had spread to the lymph nodes in my neck. At this point, it was also quite a severe case, so I had to have, again, 6.5 weeks of radiotherapy. So that was 33 sessions, so like the video was explaining, that was 5 days a week, Monday to Friday. Again, like it was a very intense 6.5 weeks. I don't think there's anything you could describe that could compare to what you have to endure and go through and all the side effects with that. And again, the long-term effects of having a dry mouth and having to relearn how to pronounce some of my speech again was just a few of the challenges at that time. So then in the peak of the pandemic in April 2020, I ended up getting a second squamous cell diagnosis. Again, it wasn't a relapse, it didn't come back, it was actually a new primary lesion, but it was just a different area of the tongue. I had to have more surgery, and even though they didn't suspect that it spread because it was only first stage cancer, they actually still did a right neck dissection as well, which was a surgery on the neck. No further treatment was required because it was only first stage, but I did have to do a lot of physical aspects of rehabilitation, and I got vocal loss and nerve damage to my arm. So from this, they found in my surgery it hadn't actually spread to my neck, but they had an incidental finding of mutated thyroid cells in a lymph node. So at that point we thought I was all clear, they couldn't see anything else, but they suspected that thyroid cancer could come along the lines further along. So a surveillance scan in June of 2022, it did pick up that a lymph node had changed, and I was diagnosed with thyroid cancer. So this was my 4th diagnosis at just coming up to 25 years old. So yeah, the surveillance scans picked up on the thyroid cells that had grown in my neck, and so I had to undergo a complete thyroid removal, as well as a 3rd dissection to remove affected lymph nodes. For this diagnosis, again, I had to do some rehabilitation of strength, but I also found doing prehabilitation prior to surgery hugely impacted the benefits of my recovery.
Thank you. So, quite a journey to where you are now. Yesterday we heard about the benefits of prehabilitation for those preparing for head and neck surgeries and treatment, and in Sheffield there is a programme for prehabilitation. Can you tell us a little bit more about your experience of prehabilitation and how you found out about it and the process you went through and the benefits of it compared to surgeries when you'd not undergone prehabilitation?
Yeah, so I've always done dancing, I've always been very active, and I've found fitness has helped keep me going and kept my strength up. So I realised during lockdown of 2020 I was doing a lot of online fitness classes, and so I got to a peak point of strength prior to my 3rd diagnosis surgery. But comparing it to my 2nd diagnosis surgery, my first tongue cancer, I could tell the difference in my recovery because the strength I had built in my body between the first tongue cancer I'd not done any prehabilitation, whereas the second one I had. So then going into my 4th diagnosis of the thyroid cancer, I was aware of the benefits I'd previously found, and so wanted to make sure I again built up the strength to optimise how I'd recovered. Like I say, I've always danced, I've done weekly classes, but at that time I was offered a programme called Renew, which is run by a charity called Stock. These weekly online sessions helped me prepare for the journey my body was about to go through, and I really do think the whole concept of prehabilitation is just as important as the recovery and process of rehabilitation as well. I found it also helped me to prepare for things mentally as well as physically, because that really helped optimise and adjust my mindset, which again gave me better coping mechanisms going into everything and dealing with the long road of recovery, as I really do think that having a stronger mindset as well through that rehabilitation process reflected again in the prehabilitation the next time, and that really helped me through the more recent cancer experiences. And I feel that this was all grown and built up through the work on myself I did during that prehabilitation period.
Can you just describe some of the prehabilitation exercises that you were given? Was it specific for head and neck cancer patients, or was it general prehabilitation?
It was a general one, so I had an assessment with the PT, and he had all my medical history because it was a medical-based charity, and he worked out special exercises for me that wouldn't be too much because of my previous head and neck limitations, but also he could work out what I was already strong at because of the physical strength I did have from doing movement and dance. So yeah, he just kind of worked a program around mine, did exercises like any kind of gym training really. You do like 3 reps 3 times, like different exercises, and then as the weeks went on they'd build up more, add some more exercises and just change it up as I progressed.
So it's kind of whole body exercises rather than head and neck kind of specific.
Yeah, because it's to build, that was my goal. He wanted to know what my goal was, and I wanted to build up my upper body because I knew from the previous time that strength would be compromised, so I wanted to build it up beforehand.
Thank you. So was there anything else you found helpful during your experiences of head and neck cancer that you would like to talk to the audience about today?
Yeah, so within all my experiences of cancer, I've found there's a lot of positives, but also there's things that aren't so helpful. So I can understand what really has been helpful, and that is more so when your healthcare professionals and the team around you are like really good at communicating, keeping you well informed. I found having a key contact was really helpful for me, and was a direct person who I was able to ask questions to. I'd ring my Macmillan nurse up, I'd spend multiple phone calls on the phone to her, even though I'd asked all the questions were the same the second time round that they were the first, but it was really the reassurance that I needed. And with that, because she'd got to know me, and like the healthcare team around me and all my other healthcare professionals, that's them understanding me as an individual patient and looking at how they can support me holistically. Because, like I said, medical history is complex, and so all that has to be taken into consideration, you know, going forward, both physically and mentally with things. Like I say, I've got a great Macmillan CNS, and her support in my care has truly been unmatched and made the world of difference. And again, that relationship of communication has been built up because she knows me as an individual.
So is there anything else that supported you outside of the hospital environment that you found has really helped in your recovery journey and rebuilding your self-confidence?
I'd say the main thing is definitely the support from my family and friends. I'd say I'm really lucky to have a strong support circle and network, and having that support there kept me going and gave me the little bits of normality that helped me through the difficult times, because especially as a young person, you're surrounded by your peers, and it's great in some ways, but then when you're in that situation, you're aware of they're still living their lives, they're getting on with things as they would as a 18 to, well, at the time, 25-year-old. That's a very different period of life, and it's hard to miss out on some things. So having that support network that understands what you're going through and still wants to support you makes a world of difference. Like I say, as a young person, I think this is really important for me to feel heard and understood, as you don't expect to have these experiences at this age, especially the head and neck cancers, as they're typically in older people. And at the age of 18, at the time, I was the youngest patient that my consultant had ever treated. So following that, it's important to bridge the gap in supporting young adults and teenagers when they're facing what you would call an adult cancer. In a previous conference that I've spoke at, I had a TYA service come up to me after, and they asked if I'd been supported by them during my treatment in Leeds, because that's where I was treated. I hadn't, and that was because I was under the adult service of being over 18, so they wanted to make sure after that conference that there was no more young patients getting missed, as this is support from these services that make a difference when your life is completely changed and impacted. Again, like everyone's experiences with cancer is individual, but I do think as a young person, given the right support, information and services can truly make the biggest difference in how your journey can go. And another point, I know I'm speaking as a young person's point of view, but our bodies have a more youthful healing property, I find, and that's what my consultants had told me, that my scars would heal well because I had younger skin. So that for myself, and I know other people, like peers my age that I've been put in contact with since, they've recovered quicker, which again can be influenced by the prehabilitation and rehabilitation processes.
Thank you. So our session today is focused on empowering patients and giving them back confidence. And yesterday we heard from Richard, and obviously in the YouTube video earlier, about how his running and triathlon training has helped him to regain confidence and in his words yesterday, feel more normal. Is there anything you have found particular that has helped you regain your confidence, perhaps more recently or previously to sort of meeting Emily?
Yeah, so despite being used to performing, because like I mentioned, I do a lot of dance, and finding a passion in speaking like I am today, confidence is something that comes in waves for me, as it depends how I'm feeling and how that's impacted within myself from the physical aspect. So, like you say, it's the physical impacts how you feel in every other way. I feel I'm most confident when I am strong in my body. And so with that, when you face such an intense battle, that can be lost in many ways. I'm personally very self-conscious, and one thing I immediately become hyper-aware of is the scar on my neck, because you can't hide it when you're out and about. People are going to stare. And first I did try to put a scarf around, but then I just came around to kind of accepting it a bit more. But that's the thing, it's always a constant reminder of what I've been through, because if people are looking or if you're having conversations, it's that constant, like, bringing it back up. As a child and a teenager, I'd always hidden my childhood cancer stomach scars that I've got on my abdominal, but having a scar on my neck meant I had to learn to accept that was part of me. And with different methods, I was able to grow my confidence back when I was out socialising. One of these methods was scar camouflage makeup, which I would apply to make my scar disappear and forget about. But again, that's makeup and that's only temporary, and you have to spend extra time thinking about it and planning that in to make you feel a bit more so-called normal, even though it shouldn't have to feel that way in a way. But like I say, that's a temporary thing, and once you've taken it off, the scar's back. So from being a part of this conference, you very kindly put me in touch with Emily, and she offered me her services of permanent scar, camouflage, pigmentation tattoo, and the results, I honestly, like, truly can say, have made such an impact to my confidence. I feel like now, since the pigmentation has been put onto my scar, it's faded so much, it's blended, it's become much more so-called invisible in a way. And I feel like I can go out now without having to make the extra effort, and again, not even have to think about people looking at my neck. But mainly, I'd say my confidence from this has grown so much, and I'm so grateful to have been told about this, as for the past 8 years since my original diagnosis, I'd never heard of it at all.
Thank you. So, I'm part of this conference. One of the most things I'm proud about is being able to introduce Emily and Kimberly to each other, because, as you've heard, her confidence is just so much higher than it was before, and so we're really pleased to introduce Emily. I've found my words of what she is. She's an award-winning international educator in micropigmentation, and over the years has developed an innovative technique to treat a range of different scars. Emily's background is fine art, and she trained in micropigmentation at a state-of-the-art academy in London in 2012, and has then gone on to teach there, as well as running her own clinic in a local hometown close to Sheffield. So I'd like to welcome Emily to the stage, but she's going to tell us about her role as a cosmetic and medical tattoo artist and educator, and helping people with scars regain their confidence.
So, scar camouflage micropigmentation is an innovative treatment using specialist pigments and state-of-the-art device. It's also known as medical and cosmetic tattooing or permanent makeup. Though it's similar to a tattoo, it's much different. It's a lot more superficial, and we use medically certified pigments, not inks. The particles in inks that you see in tattoos are much fatter, so the body can't break them down, whereas the particles in our pigments are much smaller and designed to be broken down by the skin over time. We don't want the pigment to sit in the skin forever, because as the skin ages, it changes. Treatment longevity depends on many different things, such as the type of trauma, the area of the body, skin type, medication, etc. But generally, we recommend having a colour boost around every 12 to 24 months. We mix pigments perfectly to match the skin, and then implant them specifically to camouflage the damaged tissue in the surrounding skin. My name is Emily Housegow, and I've been a specialist in medical and cosmetic micropigmentation for around 14 years. I originally trained at a big academy in London, and then went on to build my business purely on word of mouth, as I was asked to teach at the academy in London. I used to travel to London every week while still running my clinic in Rotherham, and I did so for many years before launching my academy teaching scar camouflage. My background is fine art, so after training in micropigmentation, I found my forte in scar camouflage, but then back in the day, the techniques weren't as they are today, so I developed my own methods and gained experience over the years to get the best possible healed results. So in scar camouflage, we can treat self-harm, stretch marks, post-surgery, vitiligo, injury, burns, and I often treat a lot of skin grafts. I have been teaching for many years now, but my most popular course is scar camouflage, and it's easy to see why. It's such a vast, versatile treatment that is designed to help people not just gain their confidence, but also overcome past trauma. My aim is to raise awareness of my scar camouflage treatments. I run regular masterclasses for advanced students, and this gives me the perfect opportunity to offer multiple treatments to those who really need it most. It's humbling as technicians to know that we have the ability to literally change people's lives. It's a pleasure and a privilege to work with clients like Kimberly. We have a special bond, and she's a fantastic advocate for a treatment that can help others who have also been affected by cancer in their lives. And just here's a few pictures of some of the work that's healed. There's a lot of self-harm scars as well as post-surgery scars, a lot of skin grafts, and it's a great opportunity during our training courses to get lots of clients in that suffer with these types of scars, because we can treat multiple times, burns, stretch marks, vitiligo, and surgery scars. And then Kimberly. That was Kimberly's video that she made for me. She's gorgeous. And I run regular masterclasses at my academy in Rotherham, and this is purely for advanced technicians, but it's great to have all sorts of different models in from all backgrounds, with surgery scars, for multiple treatments. And if you're not already, it'd be fantastic if you'd all like to follow me on social media or follow our journey even more.
Thank you, Emily. So we've got about 15 minutes for questions, but I guess it'd be good to just have a kind of a general discussion about Kimberly, how you found the whole experience of having the tattoo in, and how it felt. Did it hurt?
Not really. I anticipated that it would feel a little bit more like a needle, like you would expect a tattoo to feel like, but it was very, very superficial, like Emily said. It just felt like a tiny bit of scratching, if that, but part of my neck is actually numb, so from the scar line up it's numb anyway, so a lot of it I didn't actually feel, because typically scars are numb on that skin area, but it didn't really hurt much at all, which was great really, because you hear everything about how tattoos can hurt, and obviously like certain areas on your body can be really sensitive, especially a scar, which is really, you've got really thin skin, especially my central part. Like I say, I've had 3 neck dissections, and so the central part's been very much like impacted on how it's healed, and how it felt, and how it it's just healed amazingly, to say how thin it all is.
Thank you. And Emily, how long does the kind of procedure take to do some scars?
It depends on the area. Is this on?
Yeah.
Hello. It depends on the area and the size of the area. Like Kimberly, we were in and out within an hour. Yeah, but that's quite a largish area. We had a good chat as well. But some scars can take 10-15 minutes. But you've got to perfect the pigment before obviously the actual treatment. But the actual treatment itself is really, really quick. It's really superficial. But the idea is that you're not overworking the skin too much. You're just gradually, very gently placing the pigment into the skin, and a lot of people actually fall asleep.
And so, do you think you mentioned it in your talk? How often would you suggest top-ups? Is it?
It does depend on the area, lifestyle, on sort of how big the area is, and the type of trauma it is. But generally speaking, around 12 24 months for a colour boost. We don't want the pigment to sit in the skin for a long time because as you age, your skin changes anyway. So it's better to come, every a year or so just for a colour boost, just to refresh the pigment.
And have you had much experience of doing different sort of aged skin? So obviously Kimberly's a young person and the skin will be very different to, say, a person in their 50s or 60s. Do you have experience of doing that?
Obviously still depends on the type of scar and the size of the scar, but generally older skin doesn't hold pigment as well. Just for Kimberly, her skin it's like a little sponge. But generally, about 12 months, I'd say, even for older clients. I do have a lot of older clients who I don't see for a couple of years because the pigment sits quite well in the skin. But after that, you want to get fresher pigment in the skin anyway to refresh it.
Okay, thank you. So Kimberly has got a wide following on social media, and she's a great advocate for young people's cancer. And she's held a number of fundraising events already to raise awareness and raise funds for a number of charities that she's involved in. Would you like to talk about some of those events that you've held and your plan? You've got a next one planned, haven't you, for next May? And the charities that you're supporting and how they've helped you in your journey?
Yeah, so the concept is based off my social media name, which is Kimberly's Life with the Ribbon. And so I decided it would be a great little idea to do a big charity gala, and I called it Life with the Ribbon Charity Gala. It included West End and performing industry professionals come in to do live performances. It all was to raise money for the charities that supported me, so I chose 3 charities for the event this year. I'm again holding another event next year, which is next May, the 10th of May, which will actually be to celebrate my 5 years remission from my 3rd diagnosis in 2020. And it'll be just a fantastic night. The first one raised over £10,000. So after the response of that and everyone asking me for months and months after, are you going to do another one? The answer became yes, and now that's the next plan. And that's the thing, it's all about raising awareness, raising the funds, and that's my main kind of passion when it comes to health-related things, because I never wanted to be known as, oh, the girl's had cancer 3-4 times, and that's why I don't associate myself with the word cancer as much. That's why I call my page Life with the Ribbon, because the ribbon's a symbol of many different things, and it's all about awareness. So that's kind of like the whole concept of it, and why I want to do the patient advocacy, and why I like to talk at conferences to raise awareness of our point of view and how that could help healthcare professionals. And again, that kind of links to why I'm doing the gala, because we've got performers there, we have like everything that's just spreading the awareness about my journey, what's helped me, but also like how that can help other people.
Thank you. So tickets are available, or will be available by your...
They are now,
available by your social media pages, which we can share. But I think this is probably a good point to open the questioning out to the audience, and I guess we welcome questions from anybody who has any questions for either Emily or Kimberly. There's a roving microphone anywhere.
It's hard to see. There's a hand up there, but there's really blinding lights.
Hello, can you hear me? Kimberly, thank you for sharing your story. It was very moving for another young person to listen to someone go through so many cancers. It's quite inspiring. And also, I just seen on your social media it was your birthday yesterday, so happy birthday.
Thank you.
And my question for Emily is that have you had much experience with working with brown and black skin? And is it the same effectiveness, or is it different? Thank you.
Thank you for your question. It is slightly different. We generally work with skins on the Fitzpatrick 1, 2, 4. That's sort of Caucasian skin to slightly olivey skin. Darker skin does heal dark generally, but we can still lighten darker scars slightly, but we do get better results obviously with the paler skin. Just because if you're working with a darker background, from an art perspective, if you're trying to lighten a darker pigment, it's a lot harder and it's a longer process. But we are able to do it. It's just a slightly longer process, lightening a dark scar rather than camouflaging a pale scar. If that makes sense.
Any other questions?
I don't need a microphone, I'll do that. Thank you. I was just going to ask Emily, is there a period of time after surgery that you'd have to wait before you could start doing any pigmentation?
Yeah, usually scars heal after sort of 12 months. It's better to get a surgeon's approval first, but I would generally wait about 12 months because it also depends on the type of incision that you've had. Our older clients heal, takes a bit longer for the skin to heal rather than younger skin. So those sorts of things vary as well. So it's generally safer on 12 months. But I would always invite my clients in first to assess the skin, because obviously every single skin is different. There's no two skins the same. So it's better to come and have a chat and we can have a look. Or I've got clients from all over the country. They're happy to send me a picture, and I'm then able to give my honest professional advice before they come into the clinic.
Thank you.
Any other questions?
I've got one question. As the Swallows, we've dealt with quite a few young people that's going through cancer, and it is a completely different journey. And firstly, your story is inspirational. Well done. But how did you cope? Because a lot of our patients that are young say the biggest and the hardest part is coping with school and then university.
Yeah, so that's actually quite a key thing. So when I was 18, that diagnosis happened at the start of my second year of college. So I didn't get to finish properly. I was really lucky in the work that I'd already produced was able, because I was doing an art and design course, so the stuff I'd already done was able to get put against different criteria and modules within that BTEC course I was doing, and they were still able to basically put a grade together for me so that I could finish the course. But that was just my personal experience. They did say if I wanted to finish it properly, I would have had to have waited until the next academic year. So I got diagnosed in the January. I finished treatment in the May. So again, I would have had to have either rushed and done everything in a couple of months, which I couldn't have done because I was in no physical state with how I felt to even function properly, let alone do any academic work. So yeah, they just said to have redone the second year in September. But then after that, that was as far as I went with education. So when I was 22 and 25, it was more like the work and social side that was impacted.
Thank you.
Any further questions from anybody? Okay, well, I'd like to thank Emily and Kimberly for joining me this morning on the stage, and we look forward to following your journey further, Kimberly, and I'll definitely come along to your event next year. Yeah, so thank you to Emily. I think Emily, you do provide training for trainers around the country, so their services are available, and they always need models. That's right, isn't it? So if you know of anybody, or then Emily's got a poster outside which has got her contact details on it. So, and she's around for the day. So, it's there. It's been moved. So yeah. So do come along and talk to us. So thank you very much.
Thank you, everyone. Am I on? Yeah.
Phil,
Yeah.
sit down.
Down to